Hey people, it's Warren here again with Copeland Small Engine Repair. Welcome back. Today I'm working on a portable generator. It's a little Craftsman generator. It's been sitting for a while. I think the guy that owns it's been tinkering with it. I'm not sure. But today's going to be a cold repair, which means I haven't touched this thing. I haven't looked at it. I have no idea what's going on with it. He just brought it. We stuck it in the shop. So you'll get to see me start from scratch trying to figure out what's wrong with this thing. So I'm going to get over here. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to check the oil on this thing, make sure it's got enough oil in it to run it. And we'll crank it and get it to run for a minute on some starter fluid and see what's going on and get on with it. So let me get the camera set up and we'll get started. Alrighty, this is our patient today. It's a Craftsman 10 horsepower, the 5600 watt generator. Just your basic average roll around portable generator. But we're going to check the oil on this thing, make sure it's at least got enough oil in it for us to test run it and play with it and try to get it running. So let me move the camera and we'll check the oil and get on with it. Alrighty, let's take the oil cap off. And let me look in here with a flashlight. And the oil is down about I don't know, ½ inch, maybe a little bit more, 5/8 of an inch from the top of this hole. And on these, with this little hole down here at the bottom, the little oil fill, usually fill these up till it gets right up to the edge of this hole and you're fine. So it's got plenty of oil in it for us to test run it and get it running and make sure everything's fine. And once we get all that done and it's running like it should, then we can change the oil. But I'm happy with the oil in it. It looks good. It's got plenty in it, so we're good to go to proceed from this point. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is take this breather cover off. It's just two 5/16 bolts. You can use an 8mm too, it's the same size. So now we're ready to spray some starter fluid in this thing and just see if it'll pop and run for a few seconds to let us know, what kind of shape is everything in and where are we starting at. So let me get some starter fluid and we'll spray a little starter fluid in this thing and see what happens. Okay, we're ready to try to see if it'll start and run for a second. You want to make sure the choke is open, because you're not trying to draw fuel up into the carburetor because you're using starter fluid. And I'm sure whatever fuel, if there is any in the carburetor, is probably old or funky or got water in it. So I don't want it sucked up in there. I just want to spray some starter fluid in this thing and see if it'll just pop and run for a few seconds. So let me see what happens. Well, that's not good. It cranked, but I can tell it's over revving. It's revving up too high. The RPMs are too high, so I have to figure out what's causing that. But it does run, so we got the timing's not messed up. The push rods are evidently, the rock arms, everything are fine. It's got compression. It's got spark. I mean, doing that tells you it's a whole lot of things are working. So now I'm going to take the carburetor off. Even if I could tinker with it and get it to idle down and run, I'm taking that carburetor off regardless because I want to look in there. Even if it runs great, without you taking the carburetor apart, there may be some crap in that carburetor floating around. And it may run it fine at your shop for a few minutes, but if the customer takes it home and that crap in there gets sucked up into that jet, it's going to run funny or not crank at all. So if it's been sitting for a while, always take the carburetor off regardless of how it runs. So I'm going to take this off, this breather housing plate, and this is a Briggs, so these are 7/16. Turn my flashlight off. I'm going to pull the choke lever up out of this hole, take that off. I'm going to take the fuel line off. I'm just going to use a socket on this hose clamp. They put some screw top automotive hose clamp on here. And I'm going to use a 9/32 socket to loosen it up. I'm going to get a little bit of gas on my finger. And yeah, that gas is funky. I noticed the spring for the throttle is not connected. I think they've been messing with this. And this carburetor, let me get you up here a little closer. Alrighty, let's get the carburetor off of it. I noticed the throttle spring isn't even hooked up. It's just hanging there. But this thing has these two little goofy Torx head screws holding the carburetor on. They got like a little Torx head on the end of these. They're like little studs. And you can use just a standard socket to take these off. And you can use the 5/32 socket. I don't know if you can see that. But I'm going to use that to take those out. I think they've been working on this. I'm going to turn this carburetor sideways and slip it off of this hook that goes in this hole right here. And there's our carburetor. Our throttle linkage moves fine. I don't know why this thing's trying to over rev. Something ain't making sense. But first thing I'm going to do is take this carburetor apart, make sure it's clean and ready to go, and the needle and cedar sealing. Then I'll put it back on. We'll check the gas. We'll take some gas out of it and check that, and we'll see what's causing it to over rev like it is. So let me get over to the table. We'll take this carburetor apart and see what's going on inside it. Alrighty, we got the carburetor over here on the workbench. I'm going to take the bowl off of it. Now when you take the bowls off these Nicky carburetors, I don't know why, but a lot of times these screws are hard as hell to get out. If they're real hard to get out, I'm not going to try to take them out with a screwdriver. I'm going to show you a trick. I've got a video about this. But if you take a pair of side cutters, wire cutters, dikes, whatever you want to call them, and bite down on that screw like that, and make sure you put it on there so you have room to turn it counterclockwise, but bite down on that screw on both sides, pinch down on that thing hard as hell, and you can break it loose. Damn. Gotta get a grip on the damn thing. I don't know why these are such a pain to get out. Let me get broke that one loose. Okay. I got those broken loose. Let me take those out. I can already see the gas dripping out of this thing right here. It's beating up, so I know there's water in the gas. Just by looking at that, I know that gas tank has water in it. Let's take this apart. That's pretty clean, but look in here. See this little bit of gel in there from the old gasoline? If you were to put fresh gas in this thing and get it to run, you know, perfectly fine, it may run fine in your shop. It may not suck this crap up into the main jet, and the customer may get home and the customer goes to use it, and after a few minutes it sucks some of this crap up into the main jet, and now you're getting an angry phone call. So always take the carburetor apart and look. It looks, man, this carburetor looks brand new. And as I suspected, you'll notice it does not have the word Nicky on it. It has no numbers on it, nothing, no name. There's nothing stamped or molded into this aluminum. So that tells me this is a cheap aftermarket Amazon carburetor. They probably spent $20 on this carburetor, maybe. But I can tell this carburetor is an Amazon knockoff of a Nicky, which, holy hell. I mean, how bad can you get? But everything looks okay. This O-ring looks a little strange. The O-ring looks rough. It should be real smooth and shiny. I don't know if that's dirt, but the O-ring looks rough. And I'm just not happy about this aftermarket Chinese carburetor being on there. Because then you're like, well, now what do? Do I overhaul this? You know, clean it, blow it out, just put it back on? I mean, it's brand new. They probably put this on a month ago. I mean, this thing could have been on there for a year. It could have been running fine for a year till they got water in the gas. Who knows? And you can get aftermarket carburetors that are designed like the old Walbro carburetors with the same, everything up here is the same. But I think I'm just going to blow this thing out. I've got new kits with these little gaskets and everything. And the main thing in these is this O-ring right here. And there's a tiny O-ring on this main jet that holds it in place. But I'm guessing it's fine because usually if you can take one of these and tap on it like that, if that jet doesn't fall out, the O-ring's fine. And the jet looks brand new. I mean, this thing is spotless. It's clean inside. The jet's not clogged up. So I'm gonna get me a little kit, one of my little kits. This O-ring right here that goes on this little inlet nub right there, those turn to mush, and that's what makes these Nikki carburetors run like crap. Is this tiny little O-ring right here just turns to mush, or somebody will rebuild one. Excuse me. And when they go to put it back together, when it goes in here, it will cut the edge of that O-ring, and they don't know it. So let me get a kit. I'm going to blow this crap out of here. Let me get my hose over here. And it's so clean, I should be able to just blow this out, and it's gone. I mean, that bowl's spotless. I'm going to blow this carburetor out, and you want to blow it out. You want to blow out all these. Alrighty. This is the low air jet, or low idle jet right there, and it looks fine. Some people will drill that out a little better just to make them feel all warm and fuzzy inside, and there's nothing wrong with that. But that's clean, and everything looks good. I'm just going to get a gasket kit and put this thing back together. I'm gonna turn the camera off so I can go find the little kits. I cleaned up my shop and moved a ton of crap, and now I can't remember where anything's at. Give me just a second. Alrighty, I got my little kit here, and it just comes with the big goofy bowl gasket, the O-ring for that little inlet nub right there, and the tiny O-ring for the main jet. But I don't need the one for the main jet because this thing looks brand new. So I'm gonna take these out. I'm going to toss these old ones out of the way so I don't get them mixed up. Let me get this other one in here, and I'm going to leave this tiny one for the main jet in this bag. Now these here, when you get them, they can be a little deformed and shaped funny. So what I'll do, let me blow this out. What I'll do, I'll spray some spray lube on here, and you can put some oil on here, whatever you want, and it will kind of keep this thing kind of stuck down in its little grooves and make it keep its shape. So let me grab some spray lube. I'm just using chain and cable lubricant. I use this crap for everything. Let me get this a little wet. I'm gonna lay this gasket on there. Figure out which way it goes. And that lube kind of makes it kind of stick down in the pattern it's supposed to be in, even though this thing is shaped all out of whack because it's been in a plastic bag for a month or however long I've had it. I buy these little gasket kits, you know, buy them 10 at a time. Don't buy one at a time. I mean, if you're working on your own mower, you don't need 10 of them, but if you're a shop, buy them 10, 20 at a time. I'm going to leave that alone. Now, I got to put this little goofy one here. Got to stretch it over this. Just like that. Okay, get that back on there. I need some little bit more lube on there. Probably splashing that all over the camera. Got some professional work going on here, people. This is high quality stuff. Okay, I don't want to stay down in the groove too good. Now, I'm going to hold this up. Got to turn it. And I like to hold this level. I don't turn this upside down because you don't want that to fall off. I'll kind of hold it level. And I'll hold the carburetor up. And this little nub right here has to go in this hole right here. That's what the O-ring's for. So let me see if I can do this. Put that right there. Then I'll turn it upside down and push in on the center of the tower or the stem, what do you want to call it. And you want to make sure this O-ring is visible all the way around. You don't want it stuck up underneath the plastic. So I'm going to take a pick. I'm going to make sure it's not stuck anywhere. As I do this, I can feel it. Now you got to remember, there's parts of this O-ring that are attached to the parts that go across the center, so don't try to pull it out. You just want to make sure the parts that aren't are loose. Now, I'm going to just hold it there. I'm going to put the bowl on it. Bowl's clean. Everything looks good. I'm going to put this down on here. Pop it into place. I'm going to put these screws in here. I'm going to tighten them down with a Phillips head. And you want to get one just a tiny bit snug and then do the other one. Don't tighten one down as tight as you can and then do the other one. You'll get everything kind of out of whack. And what I'll do, I'll get them really tight with a screwdriver, and then I will take, just like I took them out, I will take these and grab them and I will torque them down just a little bit more. Because I figure if they got them in that tight, they need to be in that tight for a reason. So, and don't get stupid, you don't want to strip them out. You're not putting main bolts in a 350 Chevy, you're just putting a bolt on a carburetor. Okay, now stop what you're doing and vacuum test this thing to make sure everything in there, that little tiny O-ring I put on that little nub, you got to make sure all that's working. You got to make sure the needle and seat are sealing. You don't want to put this back on and something's leaking in here and you just wasted all that time. And you can just hold this up. You can suck on this inlet right here and put your tongue over it and hold a vacuum on it. But I know people are like, hey, you keep doing that, you're going to get cancer, which it's amazing I don't already. But you can also take a vacuum pressure tester, put a 1/4-inch hose on it. I'm going to hold this thing upside down. Let me shove this on here real quick. And I'm going to vacuum test this needle and seat. It's leaking. See that? That needle and seat are leaking. Now that could be the O-ring. It could be anything in there. I'm going to put pressure in it. Of course, that just pushes the needle right off the seat. But it's definitely... It seems to be getting better. It may just be... Let me hold it up so the float is down and the needle is off the seat, I'm gonna blow some air. You're not gonna blow, you know, you're not gonna come all the way down on it, but I'm gonna blow some air in here. And if there's any tiny little bits of anything holding that needle and seat open, this will blow it out of the way. Without having to take the carburetor all the way apart. Now let's try this again. Hold it upside down. Make sure everything's seated. And it's still. It's holding now. Whatever was causing that, it ain't anymore. And you have to remember that right now, that float is just laying there. Once it's over and it's full of gas and gasoline is pushing up on that float, it will be pushing it into that seat a lot harder. So it will seal better when it's got fuel in it and it's pushing that float up and pushing that needle into that seat. But if it's holding this good with just air, pulling a vacuum on it, then we're good to go because it's not leaking at all now. So, but always check that. Don't just get done and put the carburetor back on the machine. You want to make sure that needle and seat are going to seal when you get done. So the carburetor's done. Let's get back over there and put it back on, and we'll see what's causing it to over rev like it is. All right, people, let's put this carburetor back on this machine. And I'm gonna see, here's the throttle linkage. It's got a little hook in it, so I'm gonna turn the carburetor sideways. You know, one thing I've noticed, there's supposed to be a little piece of plastic in here that this rod goes in, and it's missing. Let me go see if I can find one of these little pieces of plastic goes in there and replace it. Because I don't want this throttle linkage flopping around inside here. It's going to mess up the way it runs. So let me go find a little piece of plastic, that little bushing that goes in there, and I'll be right back. All right, I got the little bushing in there where it's supposed to be. And the way I move these, you got to take a pair of needle nose and just squish up the back side of them. Get it out, poke it in the hole in the carburetor you're putting it in, and then I'll take a pick and stick in that hole and kind of stick in there, kind of waller it back out, spread it back out on the back side. So now we got our little bushing in there. It's ridiculous they don't come with those. So I'm just gonna turn the carburetor sideways, put the throttle linkage in there, and make sure I hook up this spring that was unhooked. It'd be nice if that's the only reason it was over revving, but I don't think that's what's causing it. Okay, we got our throttle linkage hooked up. We're gonna get our goofy little studs and put them back in there. The gasket behind the carburetor looks great, so I don't have to worry about replacing that. I'm just gonna get these started. Hit the camera and shake y'all around a little bit. All right. Let me move this over. Now let me get my impact tool. And I need to do a video on these. Harbor Freight has a line called Hercules. These right here. And I freaking love these tools. They got a tool for everything. And I finally found one that's perfect for small engine stuff like this. Now I need to get my goofy little 5/32. Carburetor is on it. I'm gonna drain some fuel into a jar, and we're gonna see how horrible the fuel looks. Don't ever overhaul a carburetor and just put it on a machine and run the fuel that was already in there in it without checking it out, because now you're going to have to drain it. Turn the gas on. Well, nothing's coming out. It may not have much in it. I thought it had a lot more in it. I'm gonna get a bore scope and look down in there. Yeah, it's got fuel in it. It's all on the back side, so let me show you what I do to get the fuel out of one of these. I've got an old bad gel battery, and let me get a bucket. Bella, would you go somewhere? My dog is in here under my feet, because when it rains, when she hears thunder, she completely freaks out. I don't know why, but thunder makes her go into a panic. I've got a little hose here to drain gas out of stuff like this. It's just got a regular on-off valve on it. So I'll stick that in there. And the clear hose is so I can see gas coming out of it. And I put this hose down in a 5-gallon bucket, and I've got a notch cut in this bucket right here, so I can kind of just clip this hose in there like that, and it will keep it in there. And I'll set that on the floor. I do that. The valve is on. Now I'm going to tilt the generator that way. We still don't have any fuel flowing. There it comes. Oh, I had the gas turned the wrong way. I thought the little spigot was coming down, but it's not. It's coming out. So it needs to be turned this way to be on. So I got gas flowing now. Let me get a sample of it. We'll check out what the gas looks like. And there's the fuel. And gas can have a tiny bit of yellow tint. Really fresh gasoline nowadays is clear as water. If you get fresh gas straight from the gas station, if it's really fresh, it will be clear as water. And the more of a yellow tint it gets, the older and funkier it gets. Now, you can go to a gas station and get some gas and go home and put it in a jar, and it will already be yellow. You know, it's already funky. But vehicles have all kinds of computer control that controls the airflow and, you know, everything in them. So your automobile doesn't really, you know, it doesn't really bother them when the gas is a little funky. But small engines don't have all that technology to make up for funky gas. Now this, I wouldn't even want this in my car. But the gas in a small engine really needs to be as clean and as fresh as you can get it. It's better if you can have ethanol-free gas. But if it's something you're going to be running all day, every day, you don't need to spend money for ethanol-free gas. If you're going to run this generator all day at a food truck or a work site, just use regular gas. But if you're going to put this thing away and it's going to sit for a while, either get all the gas out of it or use ethanol-free gas. You want to use ethanol-free gas for things that aren't going to be ran that much. But this is just too funky. And another way I'll test fuel, I'll put my nose in this jar and inhale real deep. And you can tell if it's strong enough to run anything. Now, I don't suggest you do that because it's, you know, I'm probably getting some weird disease from inhaling gas fumes. But anyway, it still smells pretty strong. And I'm guessing this machine would probably run on this fuel. I mean, it may not run good, but I can tell by smelling it that it would probably run. But I'm not going to, you know, I don't care. I want fresh gas in this thing. Because when I get done, I want it to be perfect. And I can see the gas coming out of here. Now we'll get a blow nozzle. And while it's draining, I got the back of this tipped up, so fuel's coming down this way. I'll get a blow nozzle and stick in the top of the gas tank and kind of blow around in there to get all the little pockets of gas, you know, unseated and moved over here so they'll come out. So let me get a blow nozzle real quick. Now, I'm going to take my little battery out of here and set it back down. So I've got enough gas out of this thing. If there's any tiny bit of gas left in there, when I put fresh gas in there, it will be diluted so much that it won't matter. And so I'm going to take my drain off of here, move my bucket out of the way. So I'm going to put I may change this fuel line later because it's really not what I like to use. But just for now, I just want to make this thing run like it's supposed to. And you always want to try to make something run like it's supposed to with as little effort as you possibly can. So if something's bad wrong with it, you didn't waste too much time. I love that little impact tool. That thing is freaking awesome. Okay, now I'm not going to put the breather housing on it and completely put it back together because I want to know if it's going to run. So I'm going to stick the little choke lever on here. Now when it cranks, this may pop off and fall on the floor, but I've got to put some fuel in this thing. So I'm going to let it down just a little. I'm going to go get a gas can. We'll put some fuel in this thing and see if it'll run. This dog is driving me nuts. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna put this battery under here so it'll be tilted a little bit that way, because I just put a little bit of gas in it, and you want to make sure that little bit of gas goes down there. Give it a second. I'm going to make sure the carburetor fills up with gas. Now, let's see if this thing will run. And remember when we cranked it before, it over revved. So we got to figure out what's causing that, but our choke is on. We're going to turn the switch on. Now there's nothing left to do but cross your fingers and pull it over and see if it will run without over revving. This thing will not crank. That thing is over revving like crazy. It's got to be something going on with the governor. I hope the internal governor on this thing isn't broken. I'm not in the mood to work on that, and the guy that owns this, I guarantee you, doesn't want to pay me to fix that. So let's take this off. We gotta see where else is it held on at. Oh, you're kidding me. It's got two bolts back there that are in a bad spot. Of course. Let me get a 1/4-inch ratchet. I need a little tiny extension. And I believe those are 7/16 on the top. Oh my God. You know, I may take the, it'd be a lot easier if I just took the gas tank off of this thing. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the gas tank off of this thing. I got the gas turned off. Pull that off. And what size are those? I bet those are 3/8. The hell? No, those are 10s. 10 millimeter. Get this chain I use to lift this thing out of the way. I want to take it completely off. Of course I do. This poor dog, when it thunders, she starts hyperventilating. Okay. Get that out of the way. Now I can see there may be a dirt dauber nest or something under here messing with the governor arm. You just never know. I'm in North Texas and you wouldn't believe how much money I've made off of dirt daubers. No, there's some grass and crap under here, but everything looks normal. Huh. I need to get this out of the way. That's odd. I'm just going to kind of set that right there so I can see everything under here. I'm going to crank this thing and see if I can manually. The governor arm may have been moved. I may have to reset the governor, but I'm going to see if I can manually calm this thing down. Because right here, there's a spring right here that's pulling this thing to full throttle. And somebody has bent this little tab a lot further than it should be. So I'm wondering if somebody's put the wrong spring on here. So I'm going to crank it and see if I can force this thing to idle down. And if I can, it's probably this spring right here. I mean, I don't see that anybody would have been under here messing with this, but it looks like that spring is just too strong. So let me crank this thing up and see if I can make it idle down. On. I got to be ready to kill it, because when something's over revving like this, I mean, as soon as you notice it's over revving, you need to kill it. You don't want it to, throw a rod. So that's on, that's on. Man, this thing hard to pull like this. Man, you cannot move that thing. What the hell is causing that? I can move it like this, but once it was running, man, that thing did not want to move. Man, I need a little cart to sit next to this so my brand new tools aren't falling on the damn floor. Okay, let me see if I can crank it again. Let me stop the camera and get all this crap off of this table, because every time I pull this, something else that's falling off of this thing. It's driving me nuts. Give me just a minute. Okay guys, I put the gas tank back on it, so we got a fuel source. And while I'm messing with it, just trying to figure out why it's over revving, I'm just going to start it with some starter fluid, so I'm not pulling on this thing till my arm falls off. But I disconnected the governor spring in here because it was holding the thing wide open. Everything looks normal. The tab, there's a little tab under there like a push mower that you bend to control the engine speed, and it's bent toward the governor arm really far, which should make it not idle up at all. So I think somebody's been in here dicking with this thing because of this problem. So I'm going to crank it and see if it still over revs. Put the switch on. When it's down at its lowest speed, right here at the little idle screw, it sounds like it's idling fine, but man, as soon as you move it a tiny bit away from that screw, as soon as you move the idle up just a tiny bit, it wants to just take off. It wants to idle up way too high. Other than that, it sounds like it's running pretty good. So something's going on with the governor. Something under here. I'm going to take the gas tank back off and show y'all what I'm messing with. Give me a second to do that, and I'll let y'all see what's going on. Okay, right here is what I'm looking at. This is the spring I disconnected. It was hooked in one of these little holes right here. And this little tab right here, you bend it back and forth to control the engine speed, and it's been bent, I mean, all the way this way. And the thing's still over revving, so something odd is going on. I'm wondering if it's come loose right here and the governor adjustment is out of whack, or if somebody's been messing with that. Something's wrong. Something is making this thing, because over here, if I put this down at the slowest idle right there, it will idle, but as soon as it moves just a tiny bit, I mean, it wants to over rev like crazy. So something odd is going on with the governor. So I'm going to reset the governor just to make sure, you know, it's not a simple adjustment that's causing all this. And once I do that, we'll have to go from there and see if, you know, what else I can find out. But right now, I just want to reset the governor to the original spec, and I'll show you how to do that, and we'll see if that makes any difference. All right, people. I'm going to reset the governor on this thing. Now, when you're setting the governor on a small engine, just remember the phrase, everything at full throttle. You need this shaft turned as far as it will go towards full throttle. You need this moved as far as it will go towards full throttle. You need to hold the both of them there and then tighten down the nut that secures this to the governor shaft. So first, I'm going to loosen this little lock nut to 3/8. I'm going to loosen it. Then I've got this socket is a 3/16. I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to make sure the governor rod is moving free from this, and it is. I've got everything loose. Now what I want to do, I want to turn whatever way, you watch the throttle on the carburetor, and whatever way this needs to move to make the throttle on the carburetor be wide open, you want to hold it in that direction. Then you want to turn the governor shaft in that same direction as this is. You want everything to be turned towards full throttle. So figure out what way this moves to be towards full throttle, which is this way, and then turn the governor rod in that same direction that you're turning this. So everything needs to be turned towards full throttle, and then tighten down this nut. So I'm going to hold this towards full throttle. I'm looking at the carburetor. This is towards full throttle. I'm going to turn my governor shaft the same way till it bottoms out. I'm going to hold it towards full throttle. So you got to hold both of these with one hand. So my My governor linkage control is at full throttle. The carburetor is wide open. I've got this wrench holding my governor shaft turned the same direction till it bottoms out at full throttle. So everything's at full throttle. And now I'm going to tighten this nut back down. To lock the governor arm to the governor shaft. And you don't want to get stupid and damage all this crap. Just get it nice and tight so you know it ain't never going to move again. And now I've just reset the governor. Now this may not be the problem, but you need to eliminate that as the problem, what's causing this over revving situation. Now let me get the camera moved. I'm going to leave this spring unhooked. It just doesn't seem right that this tab right here that controls the speed is bent so far that way. Usually these should be a lot more straight up and down, and then you bend them a little bit, but this thing is bent way over. So I'm going to start out right here and see if this makes a difference in the over revving problem we're having. Let me move the camera and I'll get set up and we'll see what happens. Alrighty, I reset the governor. I set the gas tank back on here and got the fuel line hooked back up, and I still have the governor or the throttle control spring disconnected from the governor arm. So I'm going to crank this thing and see if what I just did when I reset the governor, if that's going to help any with the over revving problem. So I got the switch on. Give me a squirt of starter fluid. That's much better. Okay, let me hook the spring back up. I'm gonna leave that little tab bent where it's at, and I'm gonna hook this spring back up and just see if it's gonna run like it should right there. Cause that spring's trying to hold this thing, man. I don't know, that thing feels like it's trying to pull it wide open. But let's see. Much better. I'm going to move that governor spring to the next little hole. Still. And I'm going to bend this tab a tiny bit more. I'm real picky about how things run. Perfect. I am very happy with that. That's exactly how I want it to run. So evidently this spring and this tab being bent over like that, that's fine. It came from the factory like that. The governor, I don't know if somebody messed with it or something, but the governor just got a tiny bit out of whack. But now it's running like it's supposed to. Now I'm going to see if I can crank it by choking the carburetor and cranking it like I should without the starter fluid. I got my switch to on. It's choked. Man, I am just thrilled to death with that. That sounds perfect, and I'm good to go. I want to mount the gas tank. I got to take the gas tank off and remount this thing, get it back on there and all straightened out. Then I'll put the gas tank on it. Then we'll put the air filter and everything back on it. And I'll have to find a crankcase breather tube because it was missing when I got it. Finding one of those laying around here is going to be a pretty good trick. I may have to order one. But anyway, let me move the camera and we'll get this put back on there. I'm going to take the gas tank off and mount this. I don't guess I need to move the camera. I just need to get this gas tank off of here. Let me turn the gas off. You know, it's very rare that I ever have to move a governor or do anything to a governor. It's very rare that I ever have to adjust a governor. It's just odd that, why won't that go down? Oh, that wire is around the corner of it right there now. That's odd. Oh, that has to go way down below that. Okay, there we go. Now, let me get some screws. Dog. My dog's about to drive me nuts. Get these two. These two. Get these on here. Get them started. I'm glad that didn't turn into an all-day ordeal. One of those ordeals where you gotta spend all day trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with something. I'll put these in here. Bella, would you go lay down somewhere? I didn't get it on film a while ago, but she got under my feet a while ago when I fell, and I grabbed two little tubs of plastic tubs over there I keep fuel filters in, and me and fuel filters went everywhere. I wish I would have got it on video. It had to be pretty funny. Get these 7/16. Alrighty. And I'm loving that freaking impact driver. That thing is freaking awesome. All right, let me, I got that back on there. That's all set. Make it the gas tank back on it. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm gonna put this back on it. There ain't nothing wrong with this fuel line. I'm just gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna tighten this. All right, I need the bolts for the gas tank. And those are 10s. I'm gonna, when you put these gas tanks on, get all the bolts started before you tighten them all down. I love when the generator or anything has a plastic gas tank, because plastic gas tanks, they don't rust and corrode and rot. They're just so much better. Gas tank's on it. Fuel line's hooked up. Everything's good. I'm gonna pump this thing back up. Alrighty, I'm gonna get you guys over here. Excuse me. I'm gonna get my air filter housing. My goodness. Alrighty. And it's got the gasket still stuck on the back of it. Take my choke lever off. Pop that on there. Start my two 7/16 nuts. It is pouring down rain outside. It's been pouring down rain since 4 o'clock this morning. My backyard looks like a lake. Probably have to have a little boat to get to the house. Now, I'm going to put our air filters in there. Start these. Well, I thought I started it. It's just going through the plastic. I'll use the driver. Get it over here. Drop it, because that's the way I do it. Put that on there, put the choke lever back down on there. What the hell? What the hell's going on with that? Okay. Now that I got everything back on it, I like to crank it one more time once everything is back together, just to make sure I'm good to go. So I'm gonna crank it one more time. Choke on. Now, what the hell am I going to do for a crankcase breather tube? I wish I'd have known that was missing when he dropped it off. I'd already had one ordered and it'd already be here. Let me go dig around in my shop and see if I can find something, or Southern Engineer or something. Let me show you what I'm doing. See, I need a crankcase breather tube to go from here over the back of the breather housing, and it's just for the crankcase breather, so that it's got a filter instead of just going out in the open air. So let me dig around to see if I can find something to put here, and then all we gotta do is change the oil and write up a ticket and we'll be done. So let me try to find something to use. I'll holler at you in a minute. Well, I got a crankcase breather tube. I found a piece of 3/8 air line, just an old spare piece of air hose I had, and I cut it the right length, so it goes about a 1/2 inch inside each one of these. And I took this, it was kind of hard to get in there, so I took this hose over to my bench grinder and kind of tapered the end of the hose just a little bit with a grinder, and I sprayed some lube on there to make it easier to shove in there. But it's 3/8, so it's plenty wide enough, on the inside. It's got a big throat in there. But it's solid as a rock. It's nice and thick, and it's in there nice and deep on both sides, and it's stiff. It's not going to come out. So that took care of the crankcase breather hose. So this is probably better than what it came with. But anyway, I got that taken care of. That little problem solved. All right, guys, we got the generator running perfect. It cranks right up, it runs great, but it does not produce power. I guess it's set so long. And sometimes when they do that, you can do something called re-energizing the fields, or some people call it flashing the fields. Don't get me started on the scientific, technical part of what's going on in a generator when you do that. It just kind of brings the electrical fields in the generator back to life and makes it start producing power. Now, sometimes this trick works and sometimes it doesn't. And to do this, I've got a set of cables. I've been using this for years, and this usually works. It's just an old set of jumper cables, and I've got those just wired to an extension cord. See that? And the extension cord, you'll notice one of the prongs on the extension cord is wider than the other. So the wide one is ground, and it goes in this side. And I made sure when I wired these cables up to this extension cord that the black extension or black jumper cable goes to the ground side of the plug, and the red one goes to the positive side of this plug. And the way you do this, you just hook these cables to a battery. Make sure you hook red to positive, black to negative. It's not rocket science. And then what I'm going to do, I've got a drill with the trigger tied down plugged into one of the outlets. And I'm going to plug this extension cord into the other one. As soon as I plug it in there, I'm going to crank the machine. And I'm going to watch this drill down here. And if this thing starts producing electricity, as soon as this drill kicks on and I know this thing's producing electricity, I'm going to pull this plug out and be done with it. And then I'm going to let the machine run for a while it's running this drill, and just make sure it's good to go. But let's see if this works. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. And I don't take the generator end of these machines apart. If I get one running and it don't produce electricity and this trick doesn't make it start doing that, I tell the customer to come get it. I charge them for what I did and tell them good luck. So let me plug this in here. I got my battery plugged in. You know what? Let me unplug this. Let me set the phone up on a tripod so I can do this without trying to hold the phone. Give me just a second. Okay, I got my camera on a tripod. Now I'm gonna plug this cord in coming from the battery into one outlet. I got my drill plugged into the other outlet, and I got the trigger on the drill zip tied down. So if this thing starts producing power, I'll be able to see it. So cross your fingers to see if this works. That did it. We got power, and that's all it takes. Let me show you that the drill's running now. Let me set this down. I'm going to crank it back up. So that took care of that. Now we are generating electricity. And I've been using this little jumper cable setup for years to do this, and it works most of the time. Every now and then I'll get one that, it don't work. But now I'm done with that. I'm going to change the oil. I won't make you watch me change the oil. It's pretty simple. But I'm done. It cranks. It runs great. It's producing electricity. And now I can write up a bill and get this ugly thing off this table and get on to working on something else. Thanks for watching.